Hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another Talking Into the Void. I have no idea if anyone brought anything because I have been a lazy fuck today. But with me, as always, is Tyr Alexander. Tyr, how you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Been lazy today. Joining us as well as Angela. Angela, how you doing?
It's the weekend. It's time to be late.
And then giving us the 4 feet to the chair. Got Mitch. Mitch, how you doing?
What the hell is this 4 feet to the chair business?
Fuck if I
I was
know.
gonna say what?
You confused the hell. How you doing? I'm
Words.
lost.
It's a
I'm
day.
completely lost now, but okay.
As Drunka would say, wood is wood.
Uh,
It
Wood
could be
and
worse. It
wood.
could be three sheets to the wind.
I was basically that last night.
That was a good night.
I try not to
uh,
sheet without good reason.
I have no counter for that one. Uh,
Then
you
my
were saying you
plan is
didn't know what to
working.
talk about, Rotten?
Oh, I haven't really been on Twitter, anything. Like, all I've done is play some video games, work on, like I said, I got my dishes done and my laundry done, and yeah, basically just play some video games.
so you did
I
the domestic.
I can say how super fun it is that all of these movies are re-releasing in the theaters, so that
But they ain't got none of the release.
you get to
Right.
see them on the big screen if you missed them, or again if you actually enjoyed them. For
I'm honest.
example,
I'm honestly
Yeah, I'm getting
surprised they
around that
haven't
street,
done
guy.
that. Or they haven't done that sooner.
today I went and actually saw the original Alien on the big screen for the first time ever. And then um I have a ticket for Brendan Fraser's one
Brandon,
on
But she had the golden
Tuesday.
ticket.
Brandon Fraser's what?
The Mummy.
Oh, first two movies of
Oh, the
that are
one that
actually
people liked.
yeah. So the first two movies were pretty good. The third one was weird.
The third
Yeah.
one wasn't a mummy movie. The third one was a Chinese Jet Li kung fu thing.
Wannabe.
And because they couldn't get, I forget the actress's name that played the original, the Evie in the first two
Rachel
movies.
Weisz.
Yeah, she
Rachel
wouldn't do
Weisz,
it.
yeah.
So the actress they got to replace her was horrible.
Well, was she horrible or was she just not Rachel
Not
Weisz?
Rachel
Because
Weisz.
She
everyone
just,
seems to like Rachel Weisz.
yeah, she wasn't Rachel Weisz.
I
Maybe because,
really
but
enjoy Rachel Weisz. She's a very talented lady.
Yes.
uh,
Very pretty too.
she is. I guess the reason why people enjoyed her is much better than the original, the other actress was because
Hey,
I
Johnny.
want to say that she was in the first two and she was a lovable character in the first one, and then she was a kick-ass character in the second one, and then she's gone in the third. It sucked.
Furry bastard. Yes, there was a third movie. We acknowledge that it was a terrible movie, and that it was most likely just a crash cash grab from the studio,
Of course
so
it
we can
was.
hold them accountable for that. Because if we just try to say this thing never existed, they'll be like, "Oh, well, we can do this again."
Honestly, I
Okay,
would have
there.
been happy if they continued. So there was a Mummy cartoon, and I like the trajectory the Mummy cartoon went in, and I think they should have counted that as a third movie. You know, and they did a movie spinning off from the logic of that movie, like Alexander becoming like a Magi warrior. Um, Stop cat. His father being already being a Magi without being a Magi, as established in the second movie. You know, that's what it should have been.
I thought that shit
But-
got established that he was technically a magi in the first movie.
No, it was in the second movie when when he sends the Scorpion King back to hell. He had the mark on his hand, and they established that he was a magi, like
A Magi.
yeah, a magi.
He was a MAGA.
Yeah, because they had
He was a magi.
they had the whole thing that happened between him and what's his name when the guy's like, "I'll take the Thompson," because he's got that
but
one
he
mark.
Yeah, but he wasn't officially a magi, and then they do the whole. Oh, you have that mark on your hand that shouldn't be there, and if I say this word, hello, I'm a traveler coming from the west, and what is the response? He goes, I'm a traveler coming from the east.
It's been forever since I've watched those movies. The first one honestly didn't really even need a sequel. And
It really didn't.
Mr. Scott, yes, I have seen the new line of breaded Tomcats. The only thing I'm kind of disappointed in is the fact they're changing the safety, so you have to buy all new mags for them.
Yes, no, it wasn't as bad. Hey, Jen, it wasn't as bad as the third Mummy movie. It was worse, and we were just talking about that, Angela.
Hi, Jen. Hi,
See, when it
Beth.
comes
Talking
for
about what?
There. got that out.
The Tom Cruise Mummy movie.
More frosted glass.
Oh,
Hello, everyone.
that's
There,
because they
got
were
all that out.
trying to do a like a dark
universe.
dark universe, and it just didn't go so well. Because
And-
for most of
and-
the monsters in those series, they do better as their own. I mean, you can sometimes port them over, but it's got to be more in like a cartoon TV show style thing.
Well, no. What I was saying to Angela earlier is that most of these creatures are small scale.
Hmm.
Like Frankenstein isn't like this world-ending threat. You don't need to do
Right.
like this epic thing. Frankenstein's story is best told in a single location in a castle or a small village and town where it's the focus is more on him trying to be human.
Well, technically, if memory serves me correctly, the actual story for Frankenstein does take place throughout several places in the world.
Yeah,
It
but
does.
that's over a long time.
Yes.
That's over like a 30-year time period.
Right. And the what Tier's getting at is that Frankenstein is a small story.
Yeah.
It's not about every agency in every part of the world
Mhm.
getting together to stop big threat.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not
No,
about
I was
blue
just-
sky lasers.
I was
it's-
just clarifying that while the story itself does take place in a greater thing, it's like, but yes, it does work in a smaller scale.
right.
Honestly-
and even a Dracula, that's a small scale movie.
Yeah.
There's implications and implied ramifications of vampirism, certainly.
About
The
the only
story itself is small.
ones in there would be anything to be like a world-ending thing would be a zombie one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even for we'll say Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster isn't the villain in that story. It's Dr. Frankenstein. He's the
Right.
monster.
Exactly. Adam isn't.
Yeah. It isn't him. Like the story isn't really about the creature itself. It is what that man becomes to create that creature.
Mhm.
Yes.
the monster is not the
Is not the monster.
it's not the creation, it's the creator.
Right.
Yeah, it's the it's Frankenstein's tale is the tale of the creator who defies the word of God essentially and brings life to the dead. He
Mhm.
crosses into a boundary where he is not supposed to be, and it's about him losing his humanity. And then in the end, he realizes, "Holy shit, what I've done was fucking wrong," and he pays the ultimate price. Like he spends his most of his life afterwards trying to get his monster or Adam back, and then realizing, "Holy shit, this entire time I'm the fucking creature."
Well, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And it's a fantastic character study in that way.
Yes.
And the best part about it is, when was that written? 18 something?
Like late 1800s, early 1800s, and Mary Shelley wrote that way back when. Let me look it up really quick.
And it's, let's say 200 years, because I don't want to do math at the moment. So it's been like 200 years, and we're still talking about it.
All I know
1818.
is
That's the important thing, is that we're still talking about it. We're still reading it and analyzing it. Same thing with Sherlock Holmes. It's 100+ years later. We're still reading and analyzing. Journey to the Center of the Earth, The Time Machine.
Yeah,
All of these stories we still read and analyze
because
and
honestly,
speculate and imagine. And it's so many. I wrote a thread about this on Twitter.
mhm.
Using it was a response to someone else.
Speaking of
But
the writing of go ahead. Never mind. I thought you were done talking.
Oh God, no! If go now, because if I get going on this, it's going to be a minute.
I was gonna say, speaking of the writing of Frankenstein, if you guys ever want to see an absolute mind fuck of a movie that is gonna make you question everything about sex ever, you want to watch a movie called Gothic, starring Julian Sand, Gabriel Byrne.
Oh God!
Okay.
But the reason we still think about, reread, and analyze these pieces of art is because they give us things to talk about. And the discussion I was involved in on Twitter, where someone was talking about Mad Max Fury Road and how the next installment is going to be a prequel that we
No.
don't need because we don't need a prequel. And here's I went in analytic mode because I never saw Mad Max Fury Road. I don't care about that movie
Mhm.
because I knew it was a bait and switch.
Yes.
And a lot of people apparently like it, though, and good for them. I'm happy that they like it. But there is something that I call prequelitis, and like I said, this was in reference to doing a prequel for Mad Max Fury Road, but as an example, I actually use the movie Halloween, and I find that the same thing applies with Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the whole thing about the dark universe. That's an exercise in taking the wrong lessons from success.
Yeah.
But here's what I wrote, and it's over several entries, so I'll just read through it for you.
Mhm.
I suspect that this prequelitis, quote, air quote, is the result of a film's unrecognized success. I'll use Halloween 78 as an example. Great film, fan favorite, huge return on investment. But Halloween 1978 is mysterious. Who or what broke Michael Myers? How much of Dr. Loomis was professional interest and how much was obsession? Who did Michael want to kill after his escape and why? Why did Michael know how to drive? That's kind of a joke, but because everyone makes that complaint about that movie. What happened at Smith's Grove Sanitarium? All of these questions and more are left unanswered, and that is one piece of why Halloween 78 is such a success. Those unanswered questions have had us fans talking about the film for decades, trying to fill in these blanks. These questions lead us to speculation and theory crafting and rewatches in the hopes of picking up on some previously unobserved detail that can give us the tiniest bit of insight that will blow the whole case wide open. I've even used the facts of the film to demonstrate that while Michael was focused on Laurie, he was not interested in killing her. And the logic holds up if we viewers are intangible witnesses to the facts of the case. This then leads to even further speculation as to why Michael does his thing. Meanwhile, all this analyzing, speculating, fact gathering, and theory crafting on the part of the fans is the metric one cannot measure in the weeks after a film's release. In the years that follow, when the studio execs finally realize the impact of a past success, they become infected with prequelitis, assuming that they need to answer those questions for the fans instead of giving the fans a small dose of clues to keep the mystery going for many more decades. Halloween 78 did it well. Solo, a Star Wars travesty, did not.
Agreed.
The Furiosa prequel, unless it maneuvers very carefully, probably will not either. Nothing will kill a success faster than taking from fans all of the things worth talking about.
Hmm.
That is a lesson Hollywood needs to learn.
Yeah, prequels are rarely ever done well.
Yes.
No, it's very rare when they are.
Like my personal
I mean,
favorite for a prequel that I think was done well, where it doesn't take away from the original source material, is the third Devil May Cry game. It's technically a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a prequel. It's not technically. It is.
Yeah.
It is literally the story
Yeah.
of how Virgil and Dante, after so long,
The
first meet.
only thing it does fuck up, though, sort of, is that technically Dante should have been able to go into a Devil Trigger, even when holding, oh god damn it, the Sword of
His
Sparta.
brother's blade.
No, the Sword of Sparta, without ever, in the first game, without ever having to get like the lightning sword or the fucking gauntlets of Ifrit.
Well, technically, he doesn't even get. He's not supposed to have the sword of Sparta because he gets it in the first game. That's his father's blade that impales him, and he takes it out.
No, the first one that impales him is that, well, Trish impales him with the blade in his office.
Yeah.
So he had already had that. He stopped using
Yes.
Rebellion.
That's his
Now,
rebellion.
does that prequel? What prequel was that? What game was that?
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry. Now, does that prequel answer too many questions, or does it give?
It crops up a whole new set of questions.
See, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That sounds to me
No.
like it might be something that's done right.
Yes, no.
Like
It's not as bad as like, oh, the Kingdom Hearts series, to where, okay, we got like 3 questions answered. All right, so our total before was 25 questions we had. We answered 3. What's our questions now? 67.
50.
What? How did we go up? Because they answered 2 things, and by answering those 2 things, it left us with 12 more questions.
Right. That's a good way. That's good storytelling. That's keeping the interest of the audience. But if you look at Rob Zombie's Halloween, he answered all the questions in that movie. Michael
Mhm.
Myers was bullied and raised in the whitest and trashiest of white trash families. The only thing that would have made that family worse is if they lived in a fucking trailer. Kind of shocked they didn't.
I was gonna say they were trailer trash without the wheels.
Yeah. Basically. I mean, Rob Zombie's Halloween fell back on every cliche in the book to explain Michael, and we don't need to explain Michael Myers. Michael Myers is best if he's left as a mystery,
Mhm.
because that's what keeps us talking about him so many decades later. We're not talking about part 4, part 5, and part 6 the way we talk about the original.
I was gonna say that was the mistake with that whole the Curse of Thorn, whatever.
Oh God, that was terrible.
Oh,
The-
that was so bad.
And
I mean, it's
again,
our
you don't explain Michael Myers, and any explanation that does exist has to remain behind the scenes, and only for the purpose of keeping
Story
the
content.
story consistent. You know, that's
I do agree
That's-
with that.
I mean, yeah, you absolutely have to. Yeah, Mr. Scott, I'm a mystery. You'll never see me except if you look,
Mhm.
because there's my face on my avatar, and there's.
well, one of the also the major problems as well, whenever they start doing sequels and prequels, is they try to have some weird callback to the original that shouldn't even be in there, especially if it's a fucking prequel.
Oh, no kidding. That's again, the only reason I focus so much on Halloween is because I'm pretty well versed in
Yeah.
it.
All
But
right, so
Because
Awesome
so-
movie.
it's
it
either
is.
that or it's Star Trek. But no, let's go Star Trek, because they just did one.
Oh,
and thank God I don't watch the show. On Star Trek Discovery, they just released an episode where they did a callback to Deep Space Nine, and they revealed what the Breen looked like underneath their armor.
Oh God, no!
Yeah,
oh.
and again, no one cares what the Breen looks like. What we care about, and most fans, I think, don't even know this, but what we care about is getting together with a group of like-minded friends and going, "What do you think's under that armor? What do you think?" "Oh, I don't know, man. They say it's well. Let's review the facts. The Breen home planet is very cold, so maybe it's armor that keeps them warm, or maybe it's armor that keeps them cold because they're outside of their natural environment and they can't function outside of their natural environment. Well, you know, it gives us all kinds of stuff to talk about. And Discovery comes along and answers the question. What an asshole!
Well, that's like
God.
well, it's like
Let's
the easiest one you can always look at as well is Star Wars with the
Yes.
Force. And them being like, oh, it's midichlorians. It's like, the fuck are you doing?
What the hell?
And then he retcons it. He retcons it immediately after he retcons it immediately after he lets it out.
Yeah, because
Fucking retcons it.
he
Frosted
realized he
Glass,
fucked
Neil
up.
Breen. Neil
Uh-huh.
Breen is an unsung hero. If you know, it's funny.
Well,
Yes,
okay,
Neil Breen.
Furry Bastard, like, you can explain the zombie apocalypse in a way. Like, Resident Evil does that in a way. They just don't go into the full bore explanation of it.
Right. All you get from
Like-
Resident Evil is basically T-virus.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there was a plant that was used to make the T virus and that whole thing. How the Umbrella got it to where they got the G virus, and they did all the other shit to where they bring up some of the stuff of like how like the tyrants were made and Mr. X and whatnot,
Right.
but they don't
All right,
go
I'm
into the
officially
full
say
on
this.
thing.
Wait a minute, really quickly. I'm gonna say this. Every 8 ruined that entire franchise.
Who did?
Resident Evil Village 8. It ruined that entire franchise on the grounds that they explained how the original founder of Umbrella got the sample, and he got it from the main villain of 8, which she somehow magically found. Like she just lucked upon it once upon a time, and she trained him. Mind you, they say this shit was like in the 1800s. So a woman doing science in the 1800s would be blasphemy.
No, it wouldn't.
You've heard of Marie Curie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then she wasn't.
No,
I don't think it was women doing science.
Hold on.
I think it was women being published.
But the thing for that one is that's when her whole thing started, because of her being a part of the mycelia or whatever, the molded. That's what allowed her to live longer, and why she still exists. Granted, again, it's the whole thing for that after 7. They should have went in a completely different direction and done a new character again.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
This is one of the reasons you don't go backwards with your story.
It wasn't that they went backwards. It was that they tried to tell the origins through a new story. Like
Okay. Well, that's still going backwards, though.
yeah. But those,
The simple
but
fact is, there are some things that. Okay. The reason that people like stories is being able to talk about them afterward, to
Right.
expand upon them themselves. You take
Right.
away their ability to do that, you've taken away their ability to connect with the story and their desire to see more.
Exactly. What we do here, for example, is if we had all just watched, I don't know,
Alien?
Alien. Okay, that'll work. We could all sit here right now, like we're at a Denny's after the movie, sipping our coffee and going, "Where do you think that alien came from? You know, why was there only one egg? You know, is there more than one egg? What happens when people try to colonize? You know, we can, and we got answers to those questions in Aliens, but Aliens also left us with more questions, and it was more of an action flick anyway. But also, that big giant motherfucker sitting in that big giant chair. What the fuck was that?
Where did she come from? Is there a queen egg?
Yeah,
Like, how is she created?
how does this shit work? And it leaves you with a bunch of questions, and you get to go hang out with your friends and throw shit back and forth at each other, and it causes you get hours of conversation out of it.
And they go and make something like Prometheus and completely fuck the whole thing up.
Right. It's a
Yes.
stupid move.
I have to
And,
admit,
and the sad part is it takes us, the American nobodies, to tell them that, and they won't listen to us.
Did you? All right. Who did Rebel Moon? I can't remember this. I think it was Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
All right. People told Zack Snyder Rebel Moon fucking sucked, and he refuses to take the information. I don't pay attention to online criticism.
Well,
But-
that's your problem, pal.
And his movie was terrible.
And Furry Bastard. That wouldn't have been the worst idea in Aliens. That was when they decided to do the crossover, because that was when they got the weird shit that if you go through a bunch of the lore and whatnot, supposedly what the aliens are actually supposed to be is to judge whether or not a species is going to die out or progress further. If they can if they can actually go through and defeat the alien, then they can actually progress further. It's the reason why it's considered like one of the only species that's been around about as long as them are the predators, because that's part of their thing is hunting aliens or hunting the xenomorphs.
Well, and the reason Alien versus Predator failed is because it broke all the Predator rules.
Yes.
We already knew that they were attracted to heat and conflict. So a frozen pyramid in the Antarctic
Yeah.
makes no sense. And the only reason they did that is because they couldn't think of anything else to do.
Yeah.
All right,
Heaven
so-
forbid. Imagine this. A spaceship crashes. There, now you don't have to go to Antarctica, you dumbasses.
I got
Hey.
one better for you. So we've already established in some movies, in movies, that they look for the best environment to hunt. So they could have seen humans as, oh well, they're not in this region. We could have a private hunting preserve with these monsters, these aliens. All we have to do is bring a couple eggs, and then oh shit, here's this human party that's in there for some odd fucking reason, and
Yeah.
now they're part of the conflict. And instead of having 12 eggs, we now have a fucking outbreak in our hands, and now they got to deal with this shit and try to contain it, because if the humans find out, the other humans find out about it, it's going to bring heat to us. That would have been a
BG
much
makes
better
a good
story.
point.
It was worse than that. Rebel Moon was so bad. Kathleen Kennedy turned it down, and we all saw what she did in Star Wars. Yes, it was turned down, and thank God well, no, I take it back, because Kathleen Kennedy is still the worst thing that happened in Star Wars.
Pretty much.
But at least she had the good sense to turn Rebel Moon down.
Yeah.
And see, with Furry Bastard, I still prefer before the whole crossover of Aliens and Predator, like the way the old school Predators were, individual solitary hunters that only hunted those who had the plausibility of being able to figure them out.
Well, Furry Bastard, I want to correct you on something about the Predators. First off, the Predators we see in the first two movies are juveniles. They're trying to become adults.
Yeah, it's their rite of passage, basically.
Yeah, so them hunting a lesser species is not them hunting a lesser species. It's hunting of a prey that can be worthy of recognition. Humans may be primitive by comparison, but they still recognize us as a threat.
Yeah.
and also because they are not at their full capacity, going for
Yeah.
a more advanced threat would be instant death.
Yeah. So again, think about it. When you see in Predator 2, you see the other predators like pop out the woodwork after he kills the one that been hunting him. It wasn't a bunch of other predators. They were all there. They pop up because he defeats the predator in single combat, mind you.
Yeah,
So he proved worthy of their recognition.
exactly.
And that's why they give him the gun. Like, here, take it. Here's a trophy for you. And this is our way. You know, remember when in Alien versus Predator, when she kills an alien, he carves the mark on her cheek.
Yeah.
You did something worthy of recognition, and you can bear our symbol. I recognize you as a
Well,
fellow
when you
warrior.
look at the first two movies of Predator as well, because the first Predator basically nukes himself, but he already knows he's dying, so he's just like, well, I'm gonna go out with a bang.
Yeah,
Because to lose is to lose is dishonorable.
yeah, to lose is dishonorable, but to be defeated, to be killed in battle is a little different.
Yeah.
Like he gave it his all. He fought Danny Glover's character and he lost. It's not like they blew him up. You know, they let him go. He proved he was worthy of their respect, and they like, all right, go leave. Fine, you're good. When the alien kills the predator, the main predator that's hunting them, like it didn't. He didn't push the button to blow himself up. He was defeated. I guess I lost. You know, so their culture has their ways about it, and humans aren't a big bad to them, but it's still something like, yeah, we should, you know, if you go out there and you hunt humans, you can count as an adult and you can go hunt with us. You can go play with the big kids.
Yeah, I'm just looking in the chat.
Mhm.
The furry bastard and Frosted Glass. Um, basically, they come to the conclusion the point is that good prequels are not impossible; they're just difficult. And they're honestly, when it comes to a return on investment, it's not worth it.
No.
And for a lot of reasons. I mean, in the case of science fiction, Star Trek specifically, our filmmaking and special effects technology advances so that when you make Enterprise after Star Trek's Voyager and Deep Space Nine, it looks too good compared to TOS, even though it takes place earlier in the timeline. And
they try to answer questions.
Yeah, again, they tried. Oh, here's where they ran into the Borg before everyone else. Here's where they ran into the Ferengi before anyone else. Here's why the Klingons look like they do and not like they don't anymore. And just all that shit. No, shut up. We know Data was in fucking The Next Generation. We don't need you to remind us. Fuck you, movie. You know, and I will give Enterprise credit for trying to maintain a design language that looked like it could lead up to what we saw in TOS. I do respect that. But Discovery and Strange New Worlds do nothing of the sort.
Yeah.
And that's because Kurtzman and Abrams don't know how to learn the right lessons from success, just like most of Hollywood.
You know what was a good prequel series? Caprica.
Oh, I don't know. I could never get into the new Battlestar Galactica.
Well,
I like the old Battlestar Galactica, so the new one, which is saying a lot because I really love Edward James Olmos.
No. What I was saying was that it was so far removed from the events of Battlestar Galactica, but it was still a prequel series. It showed the origins of the Cylons, or what would become the Cylons, and it does not interfere with any, because it takes place on Earth instead of in space with the escape ship. It is so far removed, and that's what things should be. There should be enough leeway in the story that it can't interfere. Like if best example I can give, the video games, the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. They are prequel stories of Star Trek, but it is so far removed from
what?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Are prequels of what?
Star Wars. My bad.
So I was like, wait a minute.
Wait,
Thank
what
you for
happened?
thank you, Ryan.
Exactly.
Sorry, talking. But it like I said, it was so far
Words
removed.
are hard.
Yeah, they are. But my issue, my point is that they are so far removed from the main events of the Skywalker series or time story that it doesn't even matter what happens in them. You know,
Right.
Because
like,
they're not prequels. They take place
Well, yeah,
in
they're
the
different
same
stories that take place in the same universe, but at a different time.
yeah, but you could also see the stuff lead you if you it like I said, they are still prequels in a sense. Like it showed the fall
Yes.
of the first Jedi Order.
Yes.
And it's still a pivotal event that explains some of the rationale in the current Jedi Order.
Right, but it doesn't tell you why the Jedi wear a brown robe.
It doesn't. They
know?
don't. But it also explains why they don't have their why Dantooine isn't their main world anymore.
Right.
Like why they're on Coruscant now.
Exactly. Plus,
Because they got a better deal.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
better real estate. But
It's free real estate.
that's a great example actually is the Old Republic, because this is an example of where I took the right lesson from success when it comes to Star Wars, because if I'm going to do a new series of Star Wars films, I'm going to set it 1,000 years after the Skywalker saga, so that we don't have any chance of crossing over with it. It's going to be not galactic politics on the scale that we saw in the Skywalker saga, but there's still going to be shit going on because there's still criminal empires. There's still competing businesses. There's all kinds of reasons to have a space battle.
Shit, remember Saturday?
And the lesson I learned, placing it like 1,000 years afterward, I will express that, as I've said before, in that opening text, where in every other Star Wars property it says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Mine would just say in a galaxy far, far away. And that sets it up right there. It's no longer a long time ago. This is far later in that history, and we're telling a new story now.
Mm-hmm.
And the galaxy is somewhere over in that direction at some point in time.
What's that?
I said, in the galaxy somewhere over in that direction and at some point in time.
Well, yeah, but it's following the same design language, I guess, of the original films, without trying to hit all the same beats as the original films. Because we are telling a different story. It's taking place in a different time. And it's one thing, Frosted Glass says, plus you can play around with lightsabers and various tech and show how they've evolved over 1,000 years. Not just that, but if you look at the technology in Knights of the Old Republic and in, air quote, modern Star Wars, the Skywalker era, the technology is there's no difference. So yeah, I would agree, Frosted. 1,000 years later, let's see different kinds of technology applied to gizmos, gadgets, things, and whatnots that we are currently familiar with. Let the science part of the science fiction shine through again. Mm-hmm. That's the other reason I don't want to go backwards, is because, especially in science fiction, because as our knowledge evolves, so should our storytelling. Our knowledge moves forward, and our storytelling should too. Agreed. If we can explain a warp drive better now than we could 30 years ago, we shouldn't apply that to a story that takes place 50 years before the original.
Uh-huh.
Laser swords, sabers are curved. Maybe there's a new tractor beam / artificial gravity component built into a lightsaber, so you could have a curved blade. Although, what would be the point?
Okay.
I mean, they had the fucking whippy ones.
Thank you, Furry Bastard. I have to say, I have had so many arguments. Not even with the sabers or curved. I didn't even want to go that far into the rabbit hole with people who could not accept the fact that a saber, by definition, is a type of sword.
Well,
It is not like a weird two-ended javelin thing.
all right. So a lightsaber is a misnomer. Like it's literally a misnomer. It's if anything, it's more like a rapier.
Yes.
It's a thrust. It is literally a thrusting and slashing weapon. It is not a cutting. A saber is a cutting weapon. It only can do
Slicing
slashes.
weapon.
Yeah, you know, a rapier, however, and especially if you look how they fight, it is literally fencing. It can only be done as fencing.
Well, that's just it, though.
Here?
The lightsaber can do both because it's not a metal blade.
Well, no, I'm saying the way traditional lightsaber combat looks like kendo and fencing, which are traditionally
Oh, yeah.
thrusting and slashing weapons. Like again, most of the kills are either thrust attacks or slash attacks.
Well, what other attack is there?
You should bash a motherfucker.
Tier.
Yes.
I've seen in lightsaber duels somewhere, I think, and it's probably a fan film at this point, where
I am
someone
going-
does get bashed in the head with the butt of a lightsaber.
I
Angela,
am
go ahead.
going to reiterate my point.
Love you.
A saber is a type of sword. It is not a spear. It is not a javelin. It is
It's not a staff.
an axe. Yes, thank you. It's not a staff. It is a sword. So half of these things that they got people using that they're calling lightsabers aren't even swords and therefore should not have the word saber attached to them anyway. Whether you're
Yeah,
talking about design or not.
Well, even then, like the light pike is still a pike. It isn't called a saber.
That's
It's a
true.
pike.
Well, and the whip isn't called the saber either.
And
Because
the light
it's
chucks. Oh god,
Yeah.
I hate the fucking light chucks.
just stupid.
Oh god, the light chucks
But
really piss
a
me
lot
off.
of the this is one of the problems I have with the whole lightsaber thing is they try to make the newest thing stand out by making the lightsaber somehow cooler than the ones before. And
Hollow
the
Blades
lightsaber's
makes-
already cool, okay?
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm going to keep calling it a lightsaber. Get over it, Bats. But the lightsaber is already cool. You don't need to make it much more gooder. Look at the Kylo Ren debacle with that crossguard lightsaber nonsense. That
Oh,
was
God.
stupid.
No, the
Oh,
only
my God.
the only way to,
dumbest design.
in my opinion, she could go and do the thing of like making the lightsabers cooler is like really like Count Dooku's hilt. Everything else of it's still
Right.
traditional, but the way that it's held or can be held is different.
Well,
Right.
again,
But his combat style was different too.
Yes.
And I wish we could see more varied combat style in Star
Oh,
Wars.
I
Because
mean,
all we
we-
really see is it's the same bullshit over and over. It's spinning around and whatnot.
well,
or
we see
or we see
Shorty
the
and Vapod.
General Grievous one, you know, because your hands can spin, you hold the lightsaber and then just spin your hands.
Right.
That's not fighting. That's just twirling with your weapon.
Yeah, but he was able to use it in both a defensive and offensive manner. So it is fighting.
Well, have you ever seen the cartoon, the first, the shorts they did for the Clone Wars? Not the actual Clone Wars cartoon, but the shorts.
No.
And the-
Years and years and years and years ago.
In the Clone Wars shorts, he could fight traditionally. He didn't do the whole spinny wavy thing. He literally fought. He was more agile because his limbs were mechanical, so he could grab a blade and fight two people while standing on his hands. Because technically, he's mechanical. He's a machine. He can do
Right.
that. He has that motor control, and he could take on I think he took on like 5 masters and 3 apprentices, and beat them all.
Right, but only one Kenobi.
Only one Kenobi, but that's when he fought differently. Well, there's a reason for that. In the cartoon, it showed that when he fought Mace Windu, Mace collapsed his chest, so that's why he has to cough.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
And that's why he's coughing in that, because in the cartoon, Mace literally hit him with a force blow that collapsed his lungs. He was in fucking pain.
See, that's another mistake is requiring your viewing audience to do other homework to understand your movie.
Well, that's true.
Let's see. The bastard wrote the Yoda fight was ridiculous. It just looked like they put Yoda puppet on a elastic string. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for the Yoda puppet fight, what they should have played up on was force control.
Yep.
They should have been doing like when the last part of that battle, when they were throwing the Senate chairs at each other. That's what it should have been to begin with. It should have been Yoda fighting him, because there was no Yoda is not a fighter, if you will. He's more the wizard.
Right. He's not the DPS guy. He's the he should be more of a healer, but so good at the healer role that he doesn't go down easily.
Yeah, he's a cleric, but he has offensive abilities. Like him lifting up a shit ton of chairs and him fighting for control with another wizard trying to push it on him and him trying to repel it back should have been how their fight went. It should have mirrored Anakin's and Obi-Wan's fight, where they're fighters. They're fighting with the blade, and Yoda and Palpatine are fighting with the Force. You know, it should
more frosted glass stuff here. The Grievous fight was the most pointless lightsaber fight. Grievous had no force powers. Obi-Wan could just lift him with the force and toss him off a cliff. It should have lasted 3 seconds. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Followed by the Yoda fight ruined the point of Yoda. He's powerful because of his wisdom and force powers, not lightsaber fighting. Exactly.
Yes. I mean, granted, you could have him like take out the guards with a lightsaber, like him toss one at the guard and like catch it back, because it's a tradition that they have a weapon on them. And yes, that's what I'm thinking, Furry Bastard. Yoda's lightsaber sword should be a last-ditch weapon. That should be when he's out of juice and he can only use that. When there's just too many motherfuckers, the force push.
Exactly.
And again, it should have been two force users fighting with the force. A light side master and a dark side master. To mirror the fight going on with Anakin and Obi-Wan. A dark side.
It should be similar to the fight that was had by Jake Sisko and Kara Nerys when they were occupied by a Paul Wraith and a Prophet.
Yes, it should have been them using their magical power to fuck shit up around them and destroy the other. It should have destroyed. It should have been a big spectacle that just. It would have been symbolic for him to destroy the Senate chamber. Them to destroy the Senate chamber in their battle, like literally blow the roof off of it.
Yeah, Frosted does it again. If you want Yoda to be a badass, have him approach hundreds of battle droids and use the Force to pull all their guns away all at once. That's what Yoda would do. Or, because they're droids, and droids are not living beings, even though you could argue that they have a consciousness. But because of the way droids are treated in that universe, it would make as much sense that Yoda would compress them all together until they were crushed.
Yes, into like a single cube, and like have him like pick it up and literally put it in the trash, and then continue about his business.
Compress them all, lift them up, drop them in a volcano.
Or not even a volcano, like a trash chute. Just go.
Well, yeah, but we're talking hundreds of battle droids, so a volcano would be a better
well, yeah,
method, and it would be a way to dispose of them without having to worry about someone else putting them back together again.
That's true.
And yeah, that's the kind of thing Yoda would do. Yoda is supposed to be smart, or if not even smart, but wise.
Yes.
But
Yoda
instead,
should-
they
like I
just
said-
thought we need to do cool lightsaber fights because everyone likes lightsabers.
Again,
Yeah,
he
that's
should've
exactly
never
what George
thought
did.
that way. It should have never been that way. And again, like it should have been them in the end exploding the Senate chamber to symbolically show that the Republic is officially dead. You know, we destroyed the Senate chamber. Like
But
the heart of the new Republic.
tier, that would require thought and effort.
And
That too,
Like-
Bets.
but it would have been nice.
Yeah, George Lucas doesn't know how to Star Wars. Is the real truth of the matter. 'Cause
Yeah,
at every
he wrote
turn,
his own series.
at every turn, he messed it up.
Ahsoka
After,
messes it up. Ah, shit. Ahsoka way fucks that up. That story way up.
Like he
Everything he
lucked
did
out
in
for
the
the first
prequels-
one with the first original Star Wars movie, and
Yeah, that was his wife, though.
and the original trilogy. It's like, yeah, there's still some mistakes in there, but most people overlook it because of nostalgia.
Right.
Yes.
Plus, Lawrence Kasdan, for example, took a big hand in some of it, in some of the writing and whatnot. Where George Lucas just sat back and said, "We need to make another movie," because that's fucking George Lucas. But the original trilogy's success is attributable to so many more people than Lucas.
It was the actors too. Like again, had Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford not played those roles, I don't think they would have been as successful.
Right. And
You know,
well, look, in the prequels, you get the stupid midichlorians, you get the stupid killing of Darth Maul in the first movie. That's a huge mistake.
oh yeah, that was a terrible thing to do.
You get this nonsense about the living force. Calm down.
Well, it's like, yeah, they killed Darth Maul, but they also then killed Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah. They
Like they like killing the mentor way too much in that first movie.
Yeah.
right. And it seems to me that Anakin was too much of a shoehorn in that first movie. Like,
He was
you gotta
so-
tell the Anakin
Gary
story.
Stu. He was such a little Gary Stu.
He was.
He could do nothing wrong. Everything kind of worked out his way, and he lucked. That first battle he got into, he lucked out a victory. That wasn't skill. That wasn't he. He may have been a pod racer. He wasn't a fighter though. A pilot, starfighter. You know, he wasn't Luke who had trained on a speeder to hit womp rats. He didn't do that.
Right.
Combat
Yes,
Womp
that
Rat.
was pod racing, and that was meant to mirror the Womp Rat thing, I believe, and to flesh
Yeah.
out that story when it didn't need to be fleshed out.
Shit. Think about it this way: if he had to deliver a message, and it was similar to Rain, to where it was the pod racing scene earlier, then it would have been different. Like we could see he had experience going fast, like pushing things to the limit and reacting faster than most people could. If that was the role he was given in that story. Here, we need to get this message to these people immediately, and we're all doing the trench run. Well, here he comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mace Windu went down like a bitch.
Yes.
I don't care what Samuel L. Jackson says. Mace Windu went down like a bitch, and his lightsaber was pink.
If you add in the Clone Wars cartoon to that between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, Anakin makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Right.
All the lessons he comes off as a petulant child in the third movie, but if you add in the shit he's learned from the cartoon, plus the fact that he saved Mace's life countless times, Mace should have trusted him enough to know, hey, if Anakin said this is the issue, we should take Anakin. Like, Anakin, come fuck on. Bring your ass.
I mean, even if it's like Mouse Window, even if it's even if Mace Windu's attitude toward Anakin is, I don't trust this kid, and I don't trust his interpretation of things, but usually when he's saying there's something off, we should pay attention to that part of it at least. That I could understand.
And the whole master shit, it makes no fucking sense. Added in the fact that if he didn't successfully train her to be a knight, but he proved that he could be trusted enough to train someone.
Yeah.
That alone, and plus his battle record, should have been enough to promote him to the rank of master. George fucked his own story. George fucked his own story.
George Lucas isn't the great writer everyone wants to believe he is.
No, that's like the only reason why the Ewoks put in there is because they wanted to have something to appeal to younger kids and toys.
Right.
And again, the Ewoks being a highly trained military makes no fucking sense.
Well, people also forget the Ewoks were ready to eat the heroes.
Well, yeah.
Everyone always forgets to, like, oh, they're so peaceful and everything. It's like, no, and the dress they had for Leia, like, how that thing wasn't torn or whatnot and everything, because, you know, they eat people.
Right.
Huh.
Well, it was probably, what was it, Gizmo or whatever the fuck that one's name was that she was feeding the candy to. Wicket, thank you. It was probably because of Wicker Basket that they didn't eat her, because he bonded with her in a way. You know, they bonded a bit because she wanted to kill the same people he wanted to kill. So that kind of makes sense.
Really quick, Frosted Glass. As Red Letter Media pointed out, Obi-Wan in A New Hope remembers Anakin fondly as a friend, but the last time he saw Anakin in the prequels, he was burning to death, and he should have said, like, yeah, last time I seen your father, he was dead. Like, I watched the man, I saw the man be slain.
Well, not only that, but oh, help me out here. What happened?
And shit, he should have never known that he was fucking Darth Vader was his father until after he. But
until freaking what was it? At least they addressed that part of it in the Obi-Wan or the Kenobi streaming show, because then that Obi-Wan discovers that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, but 100 years later.
What a piece of shit is Obi-Wan. Has anyone ever asked that question? What a piece of shit he is. Even though they're enemies now, his former best friend,
brother in arms,
is brother in arms is hacked to pieces and burning alive, and Obi-Wan just leaves him there to suffer. What a dick. Doesn't sound very fucking Jedi to me. Yeah. And while we're at it, what's the other thing that Obi-Wan at the end of before they have their big duel in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin says to him, "You're either with me or you're my enemy," and then Obi-Wan says to him, "Only a Sith deals in absolutes." Well, the sentence "only a Sith deals in absolutes" is an absolute, you fucker.
Yeah.
I got one better for you,
George. You don't know how to write.
I got one better for you. Anakin should have trusted Obi-Wan enough to go to him and say, "Look, this is the situation that's going on. This is what I've been seeing. I need some help." Obi-Wan, I get that Obi-Wan was loyal to the Order, but he also comes off as, "You are my brother in arms. You are my friend, and I will lay down my life for you." And he should have been like, "Okay, well, we can't tell the masters about this, but here's what we can do." And they should have solved this problem together. He should have never been able. Palpatine should have never been able to get his hooks in him.
All right, I'm going to be the bigger asshole in this whole situation, since we already know how it went into it's like for 4 and everything. The original prequels should have never fucking happened.
Yes.
Period.
I agree.
Like, if they were going to prequel, it should have been what led up to Anakin being, coming. It's like, of like how he was found. It's like it ended with him being found, and then like, since it's already basically explained, you leave that history there because we already know what Anakin turns into.
Right.
That's
We
where
already
it's
knew
like
he was a Jedi, a
I-
starfighter
I-
pilot,
I'm
and
I'm kind of the
That's
asshole in this situation as well. I think Smallville was one of the dumbest fucking series you could have ever made.
thank you.
I don't need to know the different. It's like the little bits in between of like how Superman coming to terms with himself and like growing up and going through puberty and shit.
And how him and Lex were friends.
Superman.
But I got one better. I got one better for you. How him and Lex were best friends essentially, and out of nowhere they just fucking forget about each other.
Yeah, whatever.
And like
The
how
rest-
he knew that he was Superman.
Everything you need to know about Smallville is in that theme song. That's all I got to say.
I fucking hate that theme song.
Don't sing it.
I love that song.
No, I hate that
But,
shit with a
getting-
passion because my
It's weak.
my second deployment, there was a guy who watched a metric fuck ton of Smallville and he never skipped the intro.
Theme.
So it's like I would hear that and I was ready to break all of the discs to that show.
Oh, good point, Frosted. Frosted says, not to mention after Padme dies, why does Vader continue to serve the Emperor? And
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
argue that he's just holding on there to plot against him, because that's what Sith do, but that's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Just like
Shit.
here's what bugs me most about the prequel trilogy
Okay.
is it's loaded after the first one, because the first one's where they meet Anakin, so you don't get any of this. But in the second two, every time we encounter Obi-Wan and Anakin for the first time, it's like, hey, remember that thing we did? Aren't we such good friends?
Yeah.
And no, show us the thing. At least they kind of showed us with the kidnapping of the Chancellor
Yeah.
in Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
But my God, it's such bad filmmaking is my problem.
I want to know why Anakin wasn't. I know why he wasn't kicked out of the order, but he should have been kicked out of the order. He was reckless. He was arrogant. He was reckless. He was arrogant. He didn't listen to anybody. Every
Which was why
chance.
they said that he shouldn't even be in the order.
But they should have realized, like, he shows none of the traits. When we took him on as an apprentice, or when we took him in, he was already he was too old to be there. You know. Oh well, he fulfills the prophecy, but
I mean, it could be argued of whether or not he was too old to be there in that one,
He
but
was.
he had too much trauma already in his life that he couldn't fulfill basically what he should have been.
Right.
They should have been able to get him sooner so he wouldn't have all that shit in him.
and they should have
if-
taken
if
his
the
mother.
If the Jedi were a force for peace and justice, they would have taken his mother away from slavery.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What should have happened was they should have went back and got if they couldn't get her then they should have went back and brought her contract after everything was said and done, after everything's cooled down, after everyone knows who he is, they should have went back and got her, and that would have solved a whole shit ton of things.
Yep. But again, the Jedi are written badly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right down to the stupid the Jedi and Sith codes. They're basically the same code, but with a mirror between them, and that's stupid.
Yes, now's not a good time to say that I'm looking forward to seeing the Phantom Menace and
If you enjoy it, I'm not saying don't
Make no
enjoy it.
mistake.
I'm just saying they were a story that didn't need told.
Well, yeah,
Actually,
I
there's still
agree with
good
that.
stuff
It
to
didn't
be-
have to happen, but it did. So I might as well
There's
make
still-
the best of it.
That first saber duel between Qui-Gon and Maul on Tatooine, that's a good saber duel.
Did
But because that one doesn't come
Falls.
across. It's not too long, and it's not over choreographed. But the second one, when Obi-Wan gets into the mix too, at the end of the film, that's way too long and over choreographed.
And like Jack says, Jack Cochran in this case,
Mhm.
I think he's like right on the nose when he says that the prequels were written like cheap, tawdry pulp novels, and that's exactly what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George Lucas loved pulp novels when he was a kid, and that was originally what he wanted Star Wars to feel like.
All right, what the order what they should have had explained in the order is the order has fallen into a state of stagnation. It should be that the order in the prequels was a shell of its former self. They shouldn't have had the same amount of authority. They shouldn't have had the same amount of resources. It should have been the order is in decline, and Palpatine is taking advantage of this decline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not just the order was in
moving.
decline. The power structure, just the power structure, like the powers of those in the order is just stagnated so much that it's in decline as well.
Yeah, but they're not innovating.
What they should have done, I don't think innovation philosophically, because a lot of what the Jedi do is a philosophical thing.
Yes.
I don't think innovation is the right way to express the idea, but I know what you mean. One of the problems with the Jedi Order is that they were too busy huffing their own farts to
pontificating.
Basically, they were pontificating too much and acting too little. Qui-Gon would have been better served as a character to be pointing that kind of thing out.
And he did. He Obi-Wan said,
did. He kind of did, but it was too vague.
It was. But Obi-Wan said, if you went along with what they were doing, you could sit on the council. I don't want to because they're not doing anything.
Right. They were like I said, they're too busy huffing their own farts, with their edibles and their fancy chairs and their cushy lifestyle up in the Jedi Temple. They lost touch with real people. And the expression evil triumphs when good men do nothing.
Yeah.
The Jedi were apparently good men, supposedly good men, and they were doing nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Jedi were just as evil as the Sith.
Oh, more so.
You are. You said their codes are mirrors of each other. One cloaks itself in a veneer of light. The other cloaks itself in a veneer of darkness. The Jedi were this. They had the ability to act, and they did nothing. They could use their abilities for the betterment of everybody, and not sit in their cushy little temple and do shit. They could spread the knowledge that they spread us around. They didn't. They only acted when the Republic needed them to do things. Oh, go solve this trade dispute. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a group fighting over in this general area. Can y'all go deal with that? Because we can't be asked to send our own forces. Okay.
See, I never really started thinking about it till now, but there's a better way to explain the fall of the Jedi.
Really quick before you go into that, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to go back to what I'm going to say.
Oh, hit it.
Star Wars, the relationship between the Sith and the Jedi is actually a really good example of something that was said in To Kill a Mockingbird, believe it or not, which is that the Bible in the hands of one man is as dangerous as a gun in the hands of the other.
Yes.
Because you can twist that power into something dark and awful.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be an interesting angle to play into my idea. And it's like this idea just occurred to me out of nowhere. Instead of Emperor Palpatine clouding the Force, whatever that vague bullshit was, have it be revealed that Qui-Gon is not the only Jedi that thinks this way. Qui-Gon and a bunch of other Jedi and their apprentices, and Qui-Gon is training Obi-Wan in this manner, by the way, to realize that they need to be more active, not just in combating tyranny, but in operating for peace and justice. To be actual guardians of peace and justice, but also to be more in touch with regular people. Meanwhile, the other part of the Jedi Order is like I said, too busy huffing and puffing their own farts and all that nonsense, and it creates a rift in the Jedi, in the Order. And we never learn that Palpatine is Darth Sidious until, I mean, because I knew right away because his name was Palpatine and I already read certain books. That was a foregone conclusion.
Well, yeah.
So again, there's no mystery in Ian McDiarmid being Palpatine. I knew it. But that too, Bets. But it would be really interesting where those two factions of the Jedi start to split from each other. Maybe not coming to blows over it yet, but they do start to split. And that's where we see a Sith Master start wedging in. It creates a gap for that Sith Master to wedge in and start whispering onto one side or the other. Hey, did you hear what he just said about your mother? Hey, man, did you see what he did to your sister? You know, and he starts getting them to fight amongst each other. Meanwhile, the Sith guy is just sitting there going, I'm you guys.
While you're too busy dealing with each other, I'm doing my thing in the shadow.
Right. That makes more sense than our ability to sense the Force has become diminished. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, it's explained in a book that they built their temple on a fucking font of dark side energy.
Oh, fuck off. No, the crystals are not alive.
No.
I'm going to go on this tear. I'm tired of this shit in Star Wars. The colors of the lightsabers don't mean all that much. Help me out here. The crystals aren't alive. They don't one
bleed.
Lightsaber,
bleed it.
One lightsaber is not inherently more dangerous than another because it was wielded. You know, fuck you. Stop making the Force everything that it isn't.
I like the concept that the reason why the Sith crystals are red because they're fakes. They aren't actual kyber crystals because the Jedi have most of the kyber crystals locked down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's what it was traditionally. Like, they can't get access to traditional kyber crystals because the Jedi have locked them down. Like, every font where these things are grown or found, the Jedi instantly come in and there's not enough Sith to take them back.
Yeah, the rule of two needs to go away too. That's just...
Well, yeah, the rule of two needs to go away too.
They made all that big hubbub about the rule of two, right? Mm-hmm. But in everything we've seen, there's all these dark Force users everywhere.
Yeah,
that are aligned with the Sith, but aren't actual Sith or something. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So you can think of the Sith as a prince, a king, and a prince. There can only be a king and his heir. Now you can raise up a new prince or new heir if the old one is killed or the king. The king is defeated. You can raise up a new heir from the Dark Jedi or the dark side users, but it's only two. There can't be more than two. There can only be a master and an apprentice, a master to teach, and an apprentice to strive. That way, that it always ensures that the strongest will rise. It's dumb in a sense, but it makes sense while there's just dark side Jedi and not Sith. And Sith was a race at one point.
Well, yeah, it was, but there were more than two.
It was more than two. And then Sith became a title. And that's where the rule of two came into place. It can only be two Sith.
I can see that, but it's not explained very well in the canon.
It really isn't.
You know, we've got in every iteration there are fucking all kinds of dark Force users who are basically coming out of the woodwork.
Like, Asajj Ventress was never Darth anything, but you had Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious, who were Sith. She was an apprentice to Tyrannus, and if Tyrannus became the Lord of the Sith, a Sith Lord, she would be raised up as well to take the apprentice place.
Right.
You know, I have my student, and if I kill my master, I get a step increase. You also get a step increase. You know,
In theory, yeah. It just bothers me that they made so much hubbub about the rule of two, but you've got all these Jedi, all these Sith Inquisitors. They were called Sith, by the way.
God, the
And
Inquisitors make no fucking sense.
Yeah, and the stupid lightsaber they have makes no fucking sense.
The spinny blade thing makes no fucking sense either.
Right. It's dumb. The whole God, it just makes me so angry.
They should have kept with the traditional because if they were going to do that, there are the temple guard equivalent of for the Sith. They should have used pikes. Everybody should use pikes.
You know what else bothers me?
What?
It bothers me that they want to have the different colored lightsabers mean different things. That just, well, if you use a blue lightsaber, you're one of the warriors. If you use a green light, fuck you. If you use a green or blue lightsaber, it's because that's the crystal you got.
Yeah,
that's what you could make.
It'd either be that's the crystal you got, or you're supposed to be of a specific. Like, I could kind of understand it if
mindset is a specific mindset. Like technically, when you take a crystal, when you first build your lightsaber, you call out to the crystal, and the crystal that you call out to is like kind of your path in life. It's sort of like a caste system. It's like a living caste system. Like if you get a yellow crystal, yeah, you're gonna go to Temple Guard.
Well, what I was trying to say would be more of like a rank thing.
Well, see, even if it's a rank or a position kind of thing, it makes no sense because you have to activate your lightsaber for anyone to know who you are and you stand in the order of things. Yeah. That's a bad idea.
True.
If it's, I don't buy the idea that the crystals have any sort of consciousness or life. They're just supposed to be a focus for energy. That's it. That's all they should ever be. They don't power the lightsabers. They focus the energy from the lightsaber to create a blade. And everything else is kind of, and that's only in conjunction with some sort of a field that prevents the intense heat of the blade from radiating too far away from the blade. Because otherwise, you're inches away from what is essentially a sun.
Yeah.
And the more you try to mystify this stuff, and I know I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself after that whole Halloween 78 thing.
Huh.
But there's such a thing as over mystifying too.
Oh yeah.
Too many questions.
Yeah. Well, it's too many questions, and it you get to a point where things become stupid, like the crystal chooses you, or the crystal is bleeding, and that's why the lightsabers are. Fuck you.
That's stupid. Honestly, they should have just went with it was basically whatever color the lightsaber was just that's just what it was.
Or maybe it was just personal preference. It could have been just personal preference. Hey, yeah.
I was gonna say your favorite color was green, huh?
or this crystal was given to me by my master, and it's symbolic to me. That's why I use this lightsaber. That's why it's this color. It was my master's color, and I'm going to follow my master. And she had a green lightsaber, so I got a green lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Oh God, all that stuff they tried. It's when they try to slather meaning on meaningless things. That's when it gets stupid. And I think all the attention focused on what color your lightsaber crystal is just. It's too much. Hey, be thankful you have a fucking weapon, you dick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, green light, pretty.
Yeah, I prefer blue.
Again, I still like the concept that the kyber crystals the Sith use are fakes. They aren't real kyber crystals.
Yeah, and that's why they're red too. But then we get into another fun little mystery. Why was Mace Windu's pink? Because let's drop my observation and say it's purple. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it is purple, we need to come up with a reason why that is. Is that an ultra rare crystal? Is it a crystal that has some natural and artificial properties?
I like that concept. It's a crystal that has both properties.
Yeah, and a
Yeah, I
fusion
mean,
of.
and now you
Oh,
could say
that actually could do a thing in a
Mason
way
is gay.
of that the crystal was a early prototype of using parts of the actual crystals, but synthetic as well, and that's why it was purple. But when they went to the full
maybe,
synthetic, and way in the past, that's why the Sith have the red ones because they figured out how to do the synthetic. Because again,
Yeah.
the crystals
yeah.
were
I mean,
Or you can, or
go
you
on.
could have it that the crystals are the red crystals are because of Sith alchemy. Because
Maybe,
Sith, Sith aren't using artificial crystals in a sense. They're just using crystal. They're recycling crystals.
maybe, yeah.
These
Or
aren't actual kyber crystals. These are regular crystals that we use alchemy to make into kyber crystals. And the red is from the Sith mojo juice that we use to do it.
maybe because it's not a natural formation.
Yes.
Meanwhile, let's say that Mace Windu's crystal was incomplete, and he not using Sith alchemy, but he did use the Force to or maybe he collected it and it was cracked, and he tried to use the Force
Repair it.
to repair it, yeah, to seal the crack, and that's why it's a bit off compared to what would normally be a blue crystal, therefore making his lightsaber purple.
Or
But-
pink.
You know,
But since we've been on this for a while, we'll still stick with some movies things. But it was one that kind of popped in my head earlier, and I just forgot to ask it in that whole thing. What is of a trilogy or more than a trilogy to where you think the third movie gets an unjustly bad rap?
Ooh, that's a good one. What
I've
movie?
got one where I think the second movie gets an unjustly bad rap,
What's that
and
one?
that's the original Indiana Jones trilogy.
Well-
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it deserves it because of Short Round, but
Mhm.
that's about it. Everything else, I think, is fine.
Him.
You call him Dr. Jones, doll. Shut up, kid.
I loved him.
Well, like one that
Uh,
I've had an argument with a bunch of people on that whole thing, and it's of the live action, the original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The third movie is actually not that bad. I know some people want to be like, well, it's got time travel in it. Well, guess what? Every fucking turtle thing goes into science, not just science fiction, but supernatural. So, like, if you paid attention to the fucking TV shows, deal with it,
Yeah.
dumbass.
They got dimension
But
travels. Time
You already
travel,
had
everything.
you already had the first two with the Shredder, and the Shredder was supposed to be killed, or at least not a thing. They can't just have the
Totally
Shredder.
inconvenient.
Yeah, they can't just have the Shredder keep coming back for each movie. It's the reason why you have different Batman and Superman villains for each movie. They may make a return it's like later on in the series, but they're not going to be there like other than really Lex Luthor, because he's not fighting Superman himself. Like, you can't just use the same one if they're going to be quite literally fighting each other.
I agree.
And for that whole thing, it's like them about using food for martial arts. You can blame Jim Henson for that.
Oh, no doubt.
What do you mean?
Jim Henson was the one who originally designed and built the Turtles costumes. And because of how dark and everything the actual content was, and especially for the first movie, and he knew it was being geared towards children, he didn't want them using, like, his basically stipulation to keep going on was they couldn't use their weapons against people.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Okay.
Don't infantilize kids.
That's why in the second movie, when you first see the turtles, other than using their feet and fists, they're using the toys, the frickin' salami and whatnot.
Yeah. What was I thinking of? Was it? I can't think of a movie where the third one gets an unjustly bad rap. Because the last Halloween so-called trilogy, that movie deserves all the hate it gets.
Again, I still say Season of Witch was a good movie, and I really think they should have kept it.
Okay, well, since you brought a sequel in that whole thing, what do you think is a sequel that's been overrated?
Halloween 2.
I like
That's that sequel is highly overrated, I think, because
Mm.
the over part that's overrated is including the sister angle, and it doesn't make sense.
Blade 2. Fucking and I think they should have never brought Whistler back. They should have let Whistler stay dead. They should have never what's the word I'm looking for? Retcons his death in a sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And then to kill him again at the beginning of the third movie, essentially.
Right. Well, okay,
Like-
now, there you go. There's a trilogy where the third one is kind of shit. Is Blade 3.
You know, I don't
Oh,
think
it's not by any means a great movie. It's a dumb fun movie.
Yeah.
Fry Bastard Fry Bastard, Highlander 2. Highlander 2 was such a fucking disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no. What I mean by overrated is predominantly beloved by the fans and that whole thing, like going with how I say the Beatles are overrated. They're still a decent band, but I think they get even though they've done great things, people give them way too much props.
Oh, yeah.
They're on a far high.
But like I can fall into the same thing of like a lot of people consider the second Terminator movie better than the original, but majority of people that consider the second hold on. Just let me get it out there. Majority of people who consider the second Terminator movie better than the first are typically around mine and Tears age.
Yeah.
Because that was actually the first one they saw.
Agreed.
Right.
And even though I've seen Terminator 2 before I saw the original Terminator, I still say the original is better than the sequel.
The original is a much better film.
The original is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
The
Angela.
original
Oh, let Angela go.
Yes.
I actually, the reason that I started talking was because I actually agree with you, right? And I watched Terminator and Terminator 2 the same day,
Mm-hmm.
the first time, so I didn't have any of that nostalgia over which one you saw first thing. The first movie is better. It's just not it's a slower burn, and everybody wants action movies to suddenly be
Oh God, yes, that's like the freaking Death Wish, the first movie. It is super slow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's an
Better
origin
film.
story.
But okay, since we've had that whole thing, what movie series do you think has had a better? It's like that the second movie you would say is actually better than the first.
Star Trek 2.
Does it have to be the second movie?
I'm going to say it. Empire Strikes Back was a far better movie than Return A New Hope.
Yes.
I liked A New Hope better, but I'm weird that way because I also like.
Well, what would be yours that necessarily wouldn't be the sequel or the second movie, but one of the other ones? Pause with that, Angela.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was actually much better than the first Nightmare.
Dream Warriors.
And
But
Bastard brought up a lot of people's favorite, or one for that one too, is Evil Dead 2. I actually will say this goes into the whole action movies thing. Expendables 2 was better than the first Expendables movie.
Shit, Rocky 2 was a good movie, better than the first Rocky.
We're catching some interesting patterns here, I think. For example, the first Alien was a horror film.
Yes.
Terminator was a horror film. But Terminator 2 and Aliens were both action films.
exactly.
Well, you can still say the same thing with the Evil Dead series. First Evil Dead is a horror movie. Second Evil Dead is a horror action.
And the third one was a horror comedy.
No, the third one is an action comedy.
Yes. But the
Horror
second
action
Evil
comedy.
Dead, if you go back and rewatch the second Evil Dead, what you might come away with is that it's kind of a man's.
Descent into madness.
Yeah, it's because Bruce Ash is kind of.
Nutty.
He went up there with people. For some reason, they all had to be killed or died or whatever, and then he's left alone dealing with the Evil Dead. That is him confronting what he might believe is a descent into madness.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when a new batch of people show up, that is confirming that his descent is not into madness, or at least not his own madness.
Yeah.
It's something else. Because when other people show up and they start seeing what he's seeing, he knows that he's not.
Insane.
Crazy.
Right.
He's not. Yeah, he knows he's not insane and didn't kill these people just for no reason. And not remember anything. Now he's like, okay, fuck. This is real. What I did was real. And it was what I had to do. Holy shit. And it's a much deeper movie than you might at first imagine, because it is funny.
Mm-hmm.
And but you can write the like Bruce Campbell bouncing around when he's alone in the house in the
Mhm.
cabin
Mhm.
and laughing maniacally and doing Three Stooges routines.
Then having it to the everything else is there is
That
laughing
could
with
be an
him.
expression of his madness. Yeah, exactly, Batman. Evil Dead 2 is a confirmation that the universe he lives in is insane and he's not.
Yeah.
And that's a fun way to watch that movie from that mindset.
Oh yeah, because you have the whole thing where like everything's like he hears the laughter, then he sees everything's laughing. Like he even sees the comicalness of the mounted deer head laughing, and then just on a fucking snap. I can't snap with my left hand like I normally would because fucked up thumb, and that hurts to do. But it's over in an instant,
Yeah.
and he's just left sitting there like, did I just lose my mind for a bit?
Right, and exactly, and it's a fun film to watch from that angle, because you get some real, as a result of watching it from that angle, you get some real shit moments that you didn't get before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you also have to understand that for the first Evil Dead, that was done on a much more minuscule budget and was basically a college movie.
Yeah, but
Really
hey,
quick.
go on.
Thank you, Furry Bastard. I am really glad to see that I am not the only person left that still just refers to the first Star Wars movie as Star.
Wait,
It's
what?
A New Hope.
It's Star Wars. There was no A New Hope. It is Star Wars.
But it was
Yes.
always Episode 4.
A New Hope.
Yeah, technically its full title is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
But that's not the original title of the movie.
No.
Yeah, I get it. It's not the original title, but whenever you say Star Wars, it's usually in the connotation of referring to the franchise. If you say,
It is
A
now,
New
yeah.
Hope, if you say A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back or Revenge of the Sith, you instantly know the movie you're talking about. Or most
Right.
people instantly know what the movie you're talking about. That's why I call it A New Hope.
I call it Star Wars, and then I call everything else Empire, Jedi, so on and so forth.
The Phantom Mayonnaise.
Attack of the Clones.
But no, what I was going to say of like why I consider the Expendables 2 better than the Expendables 1, like, I'm not going to give, like, just shit on Stallone for his directorialness. It wasn't bad. It was way too half joke, half straight up serious. And they didn't know how to, he didn't know how to meld it properly.
Yeah, I don't know if he's...
Because he's directed
Yeah,
other
I
stuff and it's been pretty decent. But like the second movie goes into exactly what it needs to. It has the action, it has the bit of seriousness that it's supposed to have, but it sticks with a lot of comedy.
Yeah. But at the same time, in the second one, we do get to see an escalation of the relationship between Barney and what's his Christmas.
Oh,
What's this Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas. That's what they call him.
I've never seen these.
Yeah, well, Jason Statham.
Jason Statham is and Jason Statham beats people up.
Yeah.
I've never seen these Rebels. Or
Th-
Reagan.
That's what I said when I watched Beekeeper. Like, it's a Jason Statham movie. If you know what a Jason Statham movie is,
Well, yeah, see,
you know what
Jason
you're going
Statham.
to say.
Jason Statham is a movie star. He's
Here's an easy way to explain the Expendables movies until you get to the third one, really, and it is dinosaurs killing people.
yeah.
Because all of the main characters are, it's like, other than the one guy who was a wrestler, are predominantly old school action stars.
Right.
And by wrestler, I don't mean Steve Austin in that one, because he was in the first one as one of the villains. The guy who was the college wrestler, and then you also have Terry Crews, but Terry Crews could easily pass for an action hero.
Yeah.
Rod, I just can't believe you just explained the movie as dinosaurs killing each other. That's
They're not killing each other, killing people.
Killing people.
killing people.
Like that's its crossover it kind of has with the Jurassic Park movies, but because if you look at it, majority of the cast in it, they're all older people.
Yeah. I actually liked one of the things I liked about the Expendables as a franchise, even, is in very general terms, it makes fun men movies again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we need as a society.
Well, that's where it's like I said, for the first one, it had its moments where it could have had its serious moments, but the rest of it didn't need to be that way. I mean, you have all these former 80s and it's like kind of 90s action stars. Like, let them be 80s and 90s action stars.
Right.
That's why, like, the John Wick movies, are they great movies on their own? No. What they are is great action movies.
Well, yeah, they're great fun.
Mm-hmm.
The John Wick films know that the purpose of entertainment is to entertain.
I still have to see the fourth one. And apparently there's a fucking fourth Expendables out that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the John Wick.
That's the real trick when it comes to entertainment. Is it doesn't matter what kind of film it is, because even a romantic comedy or even a serious romantic drama and other kinds of serious dramas, say political thrillers and what's another one, something that really you don't think of as entertaining, but a movie featuring a kidnapped kid.
Mm.
And the search to find the kid. If it's not an action film and it's a drama film, that's some heavy shit, but that can still be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the emotion is. They can all be entertaining.
Well, that's
So even, you ever watch Mr. Holland's Opus?
yes.
That part at the end where everyone's telling him what an impact he's had on their lives, and he shouldn't feel that his life was wasted because we are your symphony or we are your opus and all that stuff. And and this is just me getting old too. I'm losing emotional control. I choke up a bit at that.
It did.
You know,
It made me cry a lot.
I get like half a tear in one eye over stuff like that. And
Dude,
it's entertaining, even though it's it's
No, I
doing
don't.
the tearjerker thing. I know you were hoping for that expression, but it's also entertaining. It's emotionally satisfying.
Mr. Holland's Opus is actually big, a major movie in deaf circles because it
In what
is
circles?
about deaf circles.
Did you say
Um,
death?
Deaf,
Ah.
DEAF, as in Frank.
Okay. As in, we who cannot hear.
Indeed, because it is about a professor who teaches music whose son is actually death.
Yeah. And
And it's
it
kind
really,
of about how their relationship and his relationship with his wife seriously sucked for a really, really long
well, yeah,
and he
his
feels
life
like
was unsatisfying.
mhm, and he
It's
feels like he was generally unsuccessful because he never managed to compose
his opus.
exactly.
His that was going to be his big break, his big claim to fame. And aka Mitch the Ripper in his old age. No kidding.
Hmm.
Um, I I love that movie. I think it's an honest to God American classic, and it doesn't get enough credit.
Never seen it.
Mr. Holland's opus is awesome. It's right up there with To Kill a Mockingbird. To be honest,
Well, To
Never
right
Kill
up
a
saw
there
it.
with
Mockingbird is my favorite book, but
it's right up there with
and the movie
Halloween.
was actually really, really good too.
Here's what I want to see though. I've got this weird thing in me where I want to see movies that are this but that. In this
Okay.
case, with Mr. Holland's opus is the this part. So it's Mr. Holland's opus, but in the background of the whole film, after a certain point, let's say once Mr. Holland gets into the 80s, for example, because the movie covers like 30 years, right?
Yeah, because it goes from when his baby is born until his
To his
baby is
forced retirement.
actually yeah.
But ever since, so yeah, it starts like in the early 70s, I believe, and it goes through to the late 90s, I think. But anyhow, throughout that movie, after we get to the point where there's the 80s, we keep running into a piece in the background of the film that's like a news piece either on the radio or on a TV somewhere, but it's very much in the background, but it's also clear enough to the audience, and that's going to be a trick. But there's reports of a killer, like the summer killer.
Oh God.
No, just play this with me. I think it's a fun idea.
It is. I'm
We we
already
keep
laughing.
we get these reports throughout the rest of the film after that one after we get to the 80s, and it's always there's always 4 murders in August or something like that, right? The August killer. We'll give him a name later. It doesn't matter what it is. But then we get to the end of Mr. Holland's opus where the forced retirement and all the people are telling him what kind of an effect he's had on their lives, and he's up there and he conducts his symphony, right? The American
Mhm.
Symphony by Mr. Holland. He conducts it and hits that final note, and he makes eye contact with one of his former students, and the student smiles menacingly.
Oh no.
So we've got Mr. Holland's opus, but it's a slasher film from a different angle.
Hmm.
Where Mr. Holland realizes at the very end of his career that somehow he
A
inspired
murderer.
one of his
A
kids to
serial
become
killer.
a psychotic serial killer.
Oh no.
And then the final shot would be on like the blood draining from his face, from Mr. Holland's face, as he's horrified to realize that he's created this. It's a fucked up idea, I know.
Yeah.
But I like ideas like that because they're fun.
I mean, it's also attempting to at least be creative as well.
Have all
Well,
the
yeah, I
murders
mean-
are musical themed?
Well, yeah,
Oh.
and it wouldn't be Mr. Holland. It wouldn't be Mr. Holland's opus. It would be another movie, but
Something
using
similar.
Mr. Holland's opus as the template.
As the base, yeah.
The conductor or arpeggio?
Yeah, I
Shit.
mean it's like my idea about doing Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, but the difference being that Del Griffith is a serial killer, and he spends the whole movie attached to Neil Page because he's trying to frame Neil Page for the murders he's committed, and at the end, it succeeds. And the gag is, throughout the rest of the movie, you still keep all the funny stuff and all the heart grabbing stuff, like my wife's been dead for 8 years. You keep all that stuff in the movie, and it's like, oh fuck, man, that's oh
Oh shit! There's a reason why his
You-
wife been dead for 8 years.
yeah, and then at the end you're like, you son of a bitch. It would be fun, wouldn't it?
Possibly.
I mean, and that's the only thing that matters is do that kind of stuff, make it fun. Don't say it's Mr. Holland's Opus. Don't say it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But make a new movie with those ideas and those templates, man. It would be a blast.
I think that would be something you'd have to do, Nick.
Maybe. I mean, I've presented one of the ideas to a film company already. What they do with it or not is up to them. I don't have the skills or the
As a
Um,
connection.
marketing know-how to gather the funds to pay for any of it.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but the problem is I can't just go out there to like Indiegogo or Kickstarter or whatever and be like, "Hey, world, throw me money so I can make movie." I would have to explain what the movie's about to some degree. And then after doing all that, what's the point? You know, and I'm not making the movie. I'm hiring someone to direct. I'm hiring someone to cast the movie and blah blah blah. But then what's the point of if I'm giving away all the details about the story, what's the point in making the movie, you know?
Yeah.
And since I have no established bona fides for being a filmmaker, there's no point in me trying. I might get $30 after a year. You know?
Yeah, like the only way you could really go about it is if you were to try to make a book out of it.
Right.
And
And even then, I don't think I'm the guy to write it.
Yeah.
And that's just because I'm not a great fiction writer.
Well, not everyone is.
No. You know, but you know, I do think there's a place in the movie and entertainment business for people who have the ideas,
Oh yeah.
and I think they should damn well have a way to. It's a trust issue what it comes down to, because I can talk about these ideas, and you know, these would be new ideas too. I mean, they wouldn't be when I say new, I mean they wouldn't be beholden to an existing IP,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd have to be something that'd be a standalone.
Right. But that's the beauty of it too, because then they're the property of not only myself but the people who helped make the film. They become our property.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's one of the beautiful things about it. And everyone, take a lesson from Bruce Campbell.
Mhm.
Go read his book, If Chins Could Kill, or watch some of his some of the talking, what do they call those? Speaking engagements? Whatever.
Interviews?
That he's not just interviews, but also talking at conventions and whatnot, because he delivers some really solid behind the scenes information, even though he does it in a funny way.
That makes sense.
There's a story he told once about hey, me and my friends just made a movie. Like, oh yeah, who paid for it? Like, well, you know, I got a loan from my uncle who's went. It's like, you better hope you don't make any money on this movie, because now you're in a position where if you don't know who owns what, you're gonna be in all kinds of legal battles over the profit on this film.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to as Bruce Campbell says, you got to put your business hat on for like 5 minutes, figure out who owns what, and agree early on that that's the way things are going to be.
Yeah, like that's kind of
To-
what
to-
saved Kevin Smith for Clerks, because most of that was made off his own money or debt from credit cards that he put on himself.
Right. Well, also that I have a real life application where that worked because back when Arthur and I were working under the Ridgedale name, we put our business hats on for 5 minutes early
Yeah.
on, and as things began to improve, we were like, okay, let's sit down again and figure out who owns what. Okay, now we're gonna self-publish a book. Let's figure that out, and we did all that stuff. And when we dissolved the business, there were no hard feelings.
Yeah, because you ironed out what the details are going to be early
Yeah,
on.
way
Early,
ahead
it's
of
like,
time.
hey, let's iron this out now, so that way there's no ambiguity later on.
Right. There's no
That way, like once we get past this portion, anything that comes up, we can iron that out when it comes up. But we will stick with getting this out of the way, so we can just go towards what we want to go towards.
right. And it's one of the most important things I think you can do when you partner with someone in a business venture. So when making a film, you have to do the same thing. You got to figure all that stuff, and you got to know your shit. I don't know all my shit. The only thing I know is make a movie that's going to give the viewers something to talk about for a long time.
Yeah,
I know that part. I know that entertainment has to be entertaining. I know that activism ruins entertainment.
90% of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to putting together a budget for a film, I got nothing.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to hiring the right director, I got nothing. That's just not in my skill set. Now, if I were able to crowdfund, say, $10 million, keep some for myself. Well, anyway, pay myself first, because that's what you do with any business. But pay myself first, whatever cut that's going to be, and the rest is going to be used to hire honest to God filmmakers.
Yeah.
Independent filmmakers whom I've already dealt with in some way and who I already trust to know that they'll do what's right to get the job done. And with just $10 million, I could throw $9.5 million at them and be like, hey, go do your thing.
Do that, get genuine, probably lesser known actors or actors and actresses that are gonna play the roles properly and not just like fucking hack it up.
Right. And I do want to the only thing I want to do here is to have final creative control on the story, because the story is in my head, and I'll do everything I can to write down points as best I can to make it as easy as possible on the filmmakers
Yeah.
and the actors and whatnot, and whoever winds up writing the actual script. So I guess that's the first thing I have to do is hire someone to write the script.
Yep.
And to do that, I have to make points. And the only thing I would do is be like, hey, I just want final creative control on the script, because it is in my head. It is my concept, and it's my money.
Mm-hmm.
Since I
Right.
crowdfunded that 10 million, right? In this hypothetical. So then, damn it.
You okay, man?
Yeah, I still get Greg from smoking that I haven't.
Wait,
done
there was a
2.5
sequel to
years.
Repo Genetic Opera?
No way.
He has an old man in his throat.
Okay. I hope it's
One-armed
good.
man walking into a secondhand shop. Oh Christ! But yeah, that's how I would do it. But there's no way to. And the best part is, we don't have to worry about distribution deals or any of that shit. All we have to worry about is marketing, and I'd probably use some of that money for marketing the film, because I would post it on YouTube, post it on Rumble, and just collect that way. And it probably wouldn't be as much as it would with the theatrical release. But hey,
Yeah.
maybe a
Shit.
distribution house will decide, you know what, we want to get into a distribution deal on this film.
I mean, shit, that's
Shit.
what the guys
Fan
I think
film.
Laser Unicorn did for Kung Fury.
Yeah.
And they got a fucking deal to put on Netflix for a while. So they got paid for that. Ah, that makes sense, BG.
Yeah, it does. I just read it too.
But we're approaching the 2-hour mark. So I'm going to meander on for about a minute and a half or so. But so, final thoughts of whatever. Tier, go.
I got nothing.
Angela.
Go to the movies. There's some new one, some old fun ones back out there.
So you could say there's something old, something new, maybe even something in blue.
Or at
Yeah, but
least
you'd have to
some-
borrow a car to get there.
Anything for you, Mitch?
Oh, just to show my usual stuff. I do a show called Growing Up Nemo 3 nights a week at 6 p.m. Eastern on my Rumble channel. Which, am I able to put that in the chat?
I don't remember if I made you a moderator.
Oh, even if it's a temporary moderator, that would work. But Growing Up Nemo is where I do a commentary on children's shows that I grew up with. The current
Wait.
shows I'll be doing are because I'm doing 3 nights a week with that show, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And each night I'm doing 3 episodes of a different show. Mondays is Land of the Lost, Tuesday is Shazam, and Wednesday is The Secrets of Isis.
Ooh.
Then on Thursday, Tira and I get together at 6 p.m. Eastern to casual chit chat about whatever pops up. And in the background while we're doing that, we're playing Star Trek Online, and sometimes we're mocking that game because
They do dumb
It's
shit
the
in it.
studio behind that game deserves the mockery.
Yes.
That game's got some issues, and there's been just refusal to address it.
I gotta talk to you about something, Mitch. You see the new upcoming season,
Of what?
the upcoming event.
Oh, the Iconians?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
y'all can save that for Thursday.
Yeah.
Fine. Sorry, my bad.
Oh,
But there's my Rumble channel in the chat, and on.
I'll say it's in the description as well.
Oh, okay, that works too. Then there's what's the other? There's one more thing I do. Fandom. I can't even say the word.
Fantastic.
Fandamtastic I do on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that's a show where I will look at either fan films or independent films. That and again, that's going to be a running commentary and review.
That shit's fucking amazing. That's why I found Hardware Wars.
Otherwise,
Oh,
who's
you've been
supposed to be
dogging-
on the midnight
Green
stream
Dagger.
this coming Saturday?
Oh yes, I am. This Saturday, I'm going to be on the midnight stream.
I
Streaming at midnight.
didn't even realize it was Mitch. So that worked well. I'm hoping I'll have some word on what's going to happen with the crown that fell out. And I know Sanguin's not here, but I did get to make a joke on Friday when Mr. Adam was trying to say, "Oh, you lost your crown." It's like, I didn't lose my crown. It's sitting in I still have it. It's in a Ziploc bag on my desk.
That just sounds weird.
Well, yeah, because it's a tooth crown. Yeah, I'm almost expecting I'm probably going to have to get an implant because there's not a whole lot of tooth there. But
Or they
we,
can just yank it.
they got to get
I
the
was gonna
implant
say,
first. Go ahead.
depending on how essential it is, they may not worry about it.
Well, considering
Oh,
it is my
are they-
second to last tooth on the right lower jaw.
Mm.
Oh. Yeah, that might be tricky. The only other option is to put a patch on it and say you're a pirate, but that would
Yeah, that one probably won't work too well.
no.
But we're going to get out of here. Hope everyone has a good week. And next week we will also be doing the Captain McGillicuddy, I think it is. Or no, Captain
Corelli's
Smith.
Mandolin.
Yep.
Captain McGillicuddy's Mondegor.
All right. Hope everyone has a good week. We are Audi 5000. I just do not care about the cringe.
Shake it naked.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Join us again next week, or you can check out the other people in the panel in the description and see us again plausibly on one of their channels, or just check out what work they've done. Have a good week, everyone.